We're at the Pyramid Warehouse building, which has gone through some facelifts. It actually fell apart in a snowstorm a couple of years ago and it's been rebuilt. Locally, it's best known as the Best Metals, a home of Fredericton's #1 metal recycling shop / bottle exchange. But this was, this was a venue for a long time. It was a multi-space warehouse that was mostly empty for a long time, and so people would rent it, and it was dingy as fuck. Like there was broken glass and like dirt and shit on the floor. Some of the windows were all chained up, were covered with like steel grating and things, but it had electricity, and it was a space to do a thing. No stage, bands on the floor, people on the floor around them. And I saw, there used to be a band from St. John called NFA, and I remember coming to see NFA here. And then when we started to rent, to get a spot in the early days, to rent a spot at the Pyramid Warehouse, you used to have to go into the office of a guy named Simi, and he famously had a stack of pornography VHS tapes on his desk, and one of those little tiny televisions and a VCR, and he would sit with his feet up on his desk, smoking cigarettes, watching porn, and it was the creepiest thing. You'd have to go in and say like, hi, we would like to rent, and you're like, how dirty is this place? What am I touching? But he would always rent it. It was dirt cheap, obviously, because it's a hole, and we could do shows there. And eventually we found that there was an empty location that we could rent on a monthly basis. So John and Al and I built a stage out of scrap wood and stolen carpet pieces. And we had a friend that was a sound man, Pat Hawks, who plays in the Dolan's Late Night Orchestra. He's a bass player. He's a fantastic bass player, a great guy. He would come in and bring in like a simple light setup and sound gear. And and we just started booking bands. Who all played here? DOA has played here. Good Riddance from California. There was like a while when all these fat record bands were coming up. They would play here. Some phenomenal SNFU shows, like 500 people at one of them, packed. And we tried to rent it out for a rehearsal space during the week. We had a lot of local shows, a lot of local bands played here. One of my favorite stories of the place was that, I'm sorry, I keep bringing up SNFU, but I just was involved with them in so many ways, and they were such a big, important part of this for me. But I remember on the rider, they wanted a vegetable tray. And riders were, Real Mackenzie's played here, God played here. But on this rider, vegetable tray, a friend of mine's girlfriend was really excited to make this vegetable tray. She's like, I'm gonna do that. This is gonna be my thing. The bands are gonna love it. They're gonna thank me, blah, blah, blah. And cut up all the vegetables in this big foil thing. We brought it to the venue and the show's going on, and she was pissed off that the people didn't need her vegetable tray. And then halfway through the set, they're like, where's the vegetable tray? And I'm like, it's right here. Like, I put it up on the stage, and the guy singing just kicks the whole thing into the audience, and the vegetables and, broccoli and people's drinks, whatever. And so, I'm glad you put all the work into that vegetable tray. What else happened here? We did, the shows were consistent until we tried to make it a little bit more than a rented warehouse, and thought about how we could, could we license it and set up a simple bar in there. That's all it took for the bottom to fall out of it. The fire marshal came in and said, you can't have people in here. What are you doing? How many people were in here? 500? No. From now on, you can't do anything in this. So that it ended real quick. But I think it ran for about 2 years consistently, and then it was kind of scattered before that. But kind of like the who's who of touring bands in the 90s played here. I remember John Kastner from the Doughboys, who was actually married to Don Draper's wife from Mad Men. Kastner was really pissed off that his band was playing in such a hole, and it was definitely a hole. But I remember him bitterly typing like emails to his girlfriend, like sitting on the fire escape, surrounded by scrap metal, garbage, and probably like half a dozen crows. And so that was kind of like for me, I was like, well, this is what it's like being a rock star. Like, I watch your videos on Much Music. Here you are sitting surrounded by garbage, probably wishing you were someplace else. But it was our home for a long time, and a lot of good shows happened here for sure.